It's day three of the CJP protest demanding resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. This is all of the updates in the last 24 hours since we last spoke in one place about this protest. Now, to begin with, if you were wondering if the protest is fizzling out, it's not. In fact, the exact opposite is happening. People are assembling in Jantar Mantar in large numbers and they're getting a lot of help and a lot of support. In fact, the Cockroach Janata Party has now said that they will not leave from Jantar Mantar until Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. They said now this country has started asking questions and now we will not be afraid. We will talk eye to eye. So first of all, what's happening with the dialogue with government? Now, the CJP has, incidentally today, declined an invitation from JP Nadda for talks at his residence, insisting that any discussion that happens should take place at Jantar Mantar or at a third neutral place. Addressing reporter Saurav Das, who is the spokesperson, said the police have reached out again and said that JP Nadda wants to speak to us and they've been invited to his residence. We have declined. We are not going to anyone's house. This Janta Darbar is being held right here. If ministers want to talk, they should come to the people and discuss at Jantar Mantar. Das said, however, his party is willing to meet at a neutral venue. The CJP spokesperson said if the government should first clarify whether it genuinely intends to address protesters' demands. People are gathered here in huge numbers on the 20th. Even yesterday, around 40 to 50,000 people had gathered. And protests are happening organically across the country. He said Goa, Mumbai, Jaipur, everywhere. And we've been asking for dialogue from day one, but they want an insistence that the government is going to seriously consider the demands, which is the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan and 1 crore compensation to the families whose NEET aspirants died by suicide. Now, two ministers since yesterday met Sonam Wangchuk. JP Nadda and Minister of State of the Prime Minister's Office, Jitendra Singh, went to Medanta Hospital in Gurgaon, met Sonam Wangchuk. Remember, Wangchuk is now on the 24th day of his hunger strike. He has not broken his fast. Now, this came after the Delhi High Court ordered him to be moved from Safdarjung Hospital to Medanta Hospital. The division bench directed that he be treated by doctors as by established protocol because basically his wife had challenged the order of the Delhi High Court saying that the family should be allowed to choose their treatment. So the really important part of that argument was they said that if he hasn't been arrested and the government, out of care for his life, which was the government's argument, has moved him to hospital, then he should be allowed to choose the hospital. The family should have a say in where he is kept. Why is he being held against his wishes? So during that hearing, the centre had informed the High Court that it has no objection to him being shifted to Medanta. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, who's a lawyer for the government, urged Wangchuk to remain under continuous medical supervision and not be discharged except for advice from Medanta's doctors. So effectively, the government was nervous that if they release him from Safdarjung Hospital, is he going to go back to the protest site, something that they did not want. Now, in the meantime, the CJP today has appealed to Sonam Wangchuk to end his fast. Abhijit Dipke asked him to call off his now 25-day fast, saying that the country needs him. His life is precious. The peaceful protests at Jantar Mantar will continue until our demands are met. He requests Sonam, sir, your sacrifice has inspired the generation. We respectfully request you to end your fast. We don't have a response from Wangchuk just yet. We do have an update of the woman protester, 21-year-old, who was on a ventilator yesterday after police action injured her. Understand now from the Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, she's been taken off the ventilator and she's recovering. She's now fully conscious. The hospital has confirmed. She's responding to doctors' instructions and breathing on her own. The MRI of her brain and her spine is normal. And the hospital has reported consistent improvement in her health. So this is, a sliver of good news in all of this that we should be happy about, that she's recovering and she's out of danger. Now, in the meantime, there is very high security at Jantar Mantar. There was a tweet, though, put out by the Cockroach Janata Party on X, on social media, saying effectively that people are arriving in the thousands and the Delhi police is not scanning or screening anybody that's coming in. It says Delhi police has abandoned all its security duties. Student volunteers are running checks at the front gate, bag scanning machines, but the police are completely reckless and negligent. What exactly is conspired by Delhi police? If anything happens, Delhi police will be responsible. So effectively what's happening now is the numbers are swelling up. The Delhi police apparently not scanning or screening or checking bags at entrances, which means that they're not really sure who's coming in at this point. And the Cockroach Janata Party saying is the Delhi police willfully allowing people to come in with an attempt to cause trouble. Issue has become more political, as you know. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju said the central government is ready to hold a discussion in Parliament on this issue. Speaking in Lok Sabha, he said the government is offering a discussion on the issue since the first day of the monsoon session. And I quote, he said, for 3 days we've been offering that the government is absolutely ready for a discussion. Since day one, we've been saying discussions will be held as per rules. When discussion is held and the duration of the discussion, under what rules the discussion will be held, will be decided after speaking to floor leaders of all parties, end quote. Now, this is a really important issue. The Supreme Court of India refused to allow an urgent petition raising the issue of the Delhi police's brutal crackdown on students who were protesting on the 20th of July. Now, first of all, the court did not allow that urgent hearing. Also, the Chief Justice of India, Surya incidentally, the person who made this statement about cockroaches that started this whole thing, he said, and I quote, "Don't waste our time, don't waste your time." The lawyer who was asking for the hearing said that these are important issues of proper conduct of the NEET exam. Cutting the lawyer short, the CJI said, and I quote, "Thank you very much. We're not interested in the videos showing police excess. We don't have time to watch videos." Remember, yesterday the Delhi High Court refused to urgently hear a similar matter, saying don't drag the court into this. And this is really, worrying because there's the High Court and now the Supreme Court saying that they don't have time for this brutality hearing. In the Delhi High Court today, hearing petitions alleging brutality by the police, the CJP-led protesters, the Delhi High Court issued notices to the Delhi police and the central government asking for relevant records, including CCTV visuals and other footage, to be preserved. Wednesday's hearing saw fireworks between advocates representing the petitioners and advocates representing the government. Additional Solicitor General S. Raju was appearing for the Delhi police. And the center, lawyers for the petitioner, alleged that women were molested. They were attacked in their private parts with batons. The batons had nails on them. Police personnel had no badges. And also that they have 110 videos backing up these claims. ASG Raju countered that the crowd was unruly, that the policemen were injured, and went on to declare that petitions were aimed at hogging the limelight and garnering publicity. The bench headed by Chief Justice D.K. Upadhyay, however, questioned the assertion, saying, how do you say this is a publicity petition? When the hearing began, the two advocates appearing for the petitioners said that protesters were exercising rights, guaranteed to them by the Constitution. And this was unimaginable. Brutality of the largest measure possible was used. I'm not one for saying that the state did not have the ability to regulate movement. Policemen were seen beating ladies in their private parts. Women at the protest were molested. More than 90 protesters were injured, and that number is growing. I'm not saying the police were not injured, but it needs to be inquired as to what happened on the ground. Now, Advocate Gopala Shankara Narayan, appearing for a petitioner who alleged that the eviction of Sonam Wangchuk from the protest site was illegal, also said that tear gas was used against protesters during that march on Monday. He said it's supposed to be the last option. According to the Supreme Court's 2012 orders, we have a separate video about this, by the way, that we put up yesterday on all the laws that govern what the police can and cannot do in these situations. But the argument was that in spite of the fact that tear gas is supposed to be the last resort, it was used liberally on these students yesterday. And the SG, who is a lawyer for the government, countered, saying that social media videos are being relied on by petitioners, and there are many videos that show that policemen were also injured. Earlier in the day, 16 Delhi metro stations were closed for crowd control. The Delhi Metro Rail Corporation announced closure of several stations until further notice, as security was heightened in the national capital. However, it clarified that interchange facilities will continue to remain available at Rajiv Chowk, Mandi House, and Central Secretariat. The stations closed were Lok Kalyan Marg, Patel Chowk, Krishna Ashram Marg, Barakamba, Supreme Court, Seva Tirth, and many others. The closure came as Delhi police stepped up security arrangements in the vicinity of Parliament. And it was not just Delhi. There were protests in Mumbai, there were protests in Bangalore, there have been reported protests in Goa, as far as Ladakh, where people came out to support Sonam Wangchuk. In Mumbai, there were three protests in Chembur, Juhu, and Shivaji Park. In fact, the Cockroach Janata Party on Twitter said this about Mumbai. It said women are being dragged on the street, officers are stalking students' homes and demanding live locations without warning. RCF police station in Chembur detained students and illegally cut them off from their lawyers. This is blatant and lawless administration. Intimidation, release our students immediately. This is quoting the Cockroach Janata Party on X or social media. We've also received reports of protests by NRIs all over the world: New York, Berlin, Toronto, and other parts of the world. The activist group called Hindus for Human Rights gathered at the Mahatma Gandhi statue in New York, in Union Square. In San Jose as well, there were protests, and they were demanding the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. 6 FIRs by Delhi police have now also been filed about the 20th July Monday protest. Delhi police has said that there was violence, vandalism, and other incidents. The police is likely to start a larger criminal conspiracy. Cases registered at Parliament Street, Connaught Place police stations, and under the BNS and the Arms Act, the FIR was lodged in connection with violence and stone pelting near Regal Cinema at Connaught Place. The FIR is also filed in connection with assault and taking law into your own hands. So we'll have to keep an eye on this to see how this actually moves up. Now, there's been a fair amount of movement also on the political front. Remember, yesterday we brought you the update that Rahul Gandhi and his colleagues had been picked up by the police and then actually released. After that, Rahul Gandhi today has held a press conference after that dharna. And he talked about in that press conference that the focus should continue to be the students and not himself. He initially put out a tweet that said, "We marched to the PM's house to demand answers, but the government doesn't want to take any accountability." One of the protesters, one of the MPs, Tamil Nadu MP, Shashikant Senthil, also said, "They put me in a bus, but I jumped out, and later they caught hold of me again, and this time they held me for a while, and the bus began to move." So, very dramatic visuals that were coming yesterday. The government's defense about Rahul Gandhi's protest, the MOS Jitendra Singh had said Rahul Gandhi put forward the demand, if the government agrees to discuss this in Parliament, that he will end his sit-in. Within a few moments, the government's top leadership assured him that they're ready to discuss it in Parliament, but he didn't end his sit-in. With this information conveyed to him, he said he would not agree to this alone and sought the assurance of the resignation of the Education Minister. So there's a story very interestingly in NDTV and the Indian Express about the fact that in order to make sure that they were not detected what they were planning, Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge invited all their colleagues to Mallikarjun Kharge's home for a birthday party, cutting cake and wishing Mallikarjun Kharge for his birthday, which they all showed up to about 2 p.m. Then at 3:15, Rahul Gandhi led all of these people who had gathered over to the PM's residence, which is less than a kilometer away, and then started that sit-in. So no one other than Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi and Kharge knew what the plan was, and that's how they kept it. Perhaps out of the view of the IV and other intelligence, that something like this was going to be planned. Arvind Kejriwal, remember the Aam Aadmi Party seemed like they had a problem with Rahul Gandhi yesterday, and there was a rift building between the two lines. Aam Aadmi Party leader Somnath Bharti said Rahul Gandhi is trying to weaken the issue. There was also very strong statements that came from Atishi. They basically said that Rahul Gandhi is trying to pull attention away from him and he's functioning like the B team of the BJP. But Arvind Kejriwal today speaking to the press effectively said, no, everybody was doing their part and what he did was very good. So we're not really sure where that stands at this point. So like I said, this is actually playing out on two different fronts at this point. On one hand, the Cockroach Janata Party and its leaders have managed to keep a pretty cool head above their shoulders, and they haven't panicked. They've kept their flock together per se. People are staying at Jantar Mantar. They are holding fast, saying that basically that they are not going to go until Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. Those who have not gone to Jantar Mantar have helped in terms of food and water that's being sent over, legal assistance, medical assistance. There's a lot of help and support that's going out to the students, and there seems to be a great deal of empathy and emotional support that these protesting students are getting from across the country, and that is going to make them even stronger. And on the other side, there is the opposition parties, the political parties that have put themselves in gear. Like I said, they're demanding answers on the floor of parliament. They're also protesting themselves. They were wearing black bands today. So they're also making sure that this turns into a really important and big protest. So there are those who said that the opposition has gotten into this and they've made it about themselves and they've sort of muddied the waters. But the way I see it, I feel like the opposition demanding answers on the floor of the parliament means that they're forcing government to take accountability. Remember, Sonam Wangchuk was fasting for 22, 23 days before the government actually responded to him. Rahul Gandhi stood in Dharna outside the Prime Minister's office for 20 minutes before Jitendra Singh went out and spoke to him. 20 minutes. And so obviously there is the ability that the opposition parties have to get stronger, faster reactions from the government. So these two things working parallelly, I feel, is bringing in a sort of pincer movement. Remember, the monsoon session of Parliament was really important for the government. They were hoping to bring in the imitation bill. They broke the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, thanks to Raghav Chadha. They broke the TMC into pieces to basically shore up their numbers inside a parliament. They still don't have the numbers entirely, but they have better numbers than earlier. Remember, there's talk of the NCP, there's talk of the DMK supporting or not supporting, and we'll have to see how that plays out. So this is something the government was focusing on. And right now, there's this mushroom cloud of the CJP that is blocking out the sun and taking away all the attention. And so it's going to have to pay attention to what's happening with this. At the same time, E20 as a controversy is on one side. The Ram Mandir alleged donation embezzlement case is also building on the other side. So lots of fires on different fronts that the government is having to deal with at this point before they are able to focus on the monsoon session, which is so important to them. So the Cockroach Janata Party, combined with opposition parties, combined with young people from across the country who've taken this personally, who have decided that they're going to come out and have their way and they're not to be afraid of dissent anymore, is, I think, a turning point for dissent in this country. It's going to be very interesting to see how the government deals with this, how the Cockroach Janata Party manages to keep their protest apolitical, clean, peaceful, and continuing until they get their goals as they're stated. Leave me a comment in the comment section if you believe that these young people are going to be successful. I think one of the most beautiful things I saw on the internet was not just how these young people have come together, how Gen Z as young people are protesting. And remember, previous generations have protested for CAA. The CAA protests happened right before COVID 6 or 7 years ago. And there have been other protests in the past, but this is specifically a Gen Z protest. And more and more people on social media saying, I have respect for Gen Z after this protest. So I think it's a really interesting point in the political history of our country. We're going to watch it very closely. Let me know if you think they're going to be successful.